Coming up on AgweekTV, the Supreme Court makes an important decision on the waters of the U.S. Cattle numbers are down and prices are up as producers face tough conditions. We'll meet a couple of cattle producers who have unique ways of getting enough water for their cows. And we'll meet a South Dakota man whose retirement days are filled with growing fresh produce for the hungry. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Emily Beal. A recent U.S. Supreme Court decision limits the Environmental Protection Agency's definition of the waters of the U.S., also known as WOTUS. The definition of what the term waters of the U.S. means in the Federal Clean Water Act has been a moving target for years. The back and forth water regulation between presidential administrations have been frustrations for agriculture. Todd Wilkinson, president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, expressed that to the House Agriculture Committee last month.
The WOTUS field and the whole EPA approach on this has been troubling for America's ranchers and farmers. We go from the Obama administration with a series of rules to the Trump administration with a series of rules to the Biden administration with a series of rules. And unfortunately, America's producer is left out there trying to figure out which way to go. And we can't be dealing with these constantly changing rules from the EPA.
The ruling in the Sackett versus EPA narrows which waters are under federal regulation under the Clean Water Act to navigable waters and those wetlands with conditioned surface connection to navigable waters. Ag groups are joined by farm state lawmakers in cheering the Supreme Court decision.
This is really good news for our farmers, for our ranchers, for our energy industry, really all private property owners. This is about protecting private property rights, and essentially this decision says that there must be a continuous surface connection to federal waters for a body of water to be a water of the U.S.
The EPA now will have to revisit its waters of the U.S. definition. Cattle prices are increasing as the number of cattle decrease across the country. According to the USDA, cattle inventory is down about 3% this year, but that means prices are looking good for those selling cattle.
Cattle are entering the ring at Mitchell's livestock auction and are selling at much higher prices than in past years. However, input costs are contributing to those prices.
The expenses have climbed just as rapid as anything has. Feed costs are quite atrocious. Corn prices have gone up, we all know that, and it costs these producers a lot, whether it's from renting the ground to owning the ground to input costs to whatever. It just costs them a lot of money.
After years of drought, feed is still hard to find, and the conditions are contributing to the decreased cattle numbers across the country.
A lot of cows have been sold off. Cow numbers are definitely down. Between the drought, the input costs have forced some people out of business.
Hay is staying fairly high, you know, in the 180 to 220, depending on what hay it is. Stocks have come down a little bit this winter, but the feed cost is still high. Corn's staying up there.
But as weather conditions begin to improve in some areas of the Midwest, there is hope to replenish the cattle numbers.
There's rain around, east of here, quite a few miles, the other end of Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, getting a lot of rain. Out west, I mean, they need more rain, but been getting some. That's a good sign. I think the numbers will replenish, but as you know, that takes a little time.
When the grasses come back, the crops get, producing a lot of feed supply, good feed supplies. I think that will in turn help these people increase the numbers, but it's going to take a bit.
Both Edwards and Kudum estimate it will take at least 2 to 3 years to get the cattle numbers back up to average across the country. Again this year, we're following farmers through the season, from planting to harvest. Adam Johnson farms in the rolling hills of west central Minnesota Lakes Country near Alexandria. Despite a cold and snowy spring, Johnson finished planting corn on May 11th and soybeans a week later. He says that's much better than last year when cool, wet weather delayed planting. Then he had to do some replanting in mid-June. He says this year the snow melted fast and it warmed up quickly.
Temperatures warmed up so fast that I think this year is the fastest we've ever had corn come out of the ground, and probably the most even emergence. That all the low spots and hilltops all came at the same time and looks really good.
Johnson says one challenge to farming in Lakes Country is the tourists. He says they especially try not to move big equipment on the roads during holiday weekends. Now we travel to northeast North Dakota, where we're following fifth-generation farmer Sam Landman. Each growing season brings a new set of challenges, but the goal of finding a way to make a profit using sustainable farming practices remains consistent.
I was always interested in farming growing up. I couldn't get enough of it.
Sam Landman always knew he wanted to farm. Today, he farms with his parents, Bob and Karen, near Larimore, North Dakota, on land his great-great-grandfather homesteaded in 1883.
Just kind of have it in my blood, I guess, and when you know, you know.
The Landmans grow wheat, soybeans, pinto beans, corn, and malting barley for Anheuser-Busch on 2,500 acres. But perhaps the most important thing grown on this farm is awareness about soil health.
Our farm operation is a minimum tillage operation.
Sam Landman has worked with NDSU since 2019 on soil health research. He leases the university about 100 acres of cropland for a share farm. That stands for Soil Health and Ag Research. It's one of 2 share farms in the state. NDSU conducts long-term research on soil health on the share farms.
I wanted to do it because I wanted localized research not only for our own farm, but other farmers in the area that are interested in soil health and minimum tillage and things.
Landman says his farm works well for this project because it has a variety of soils. He diversifies his rotation to benefit the different soil types.
Conservation is important to me because we want to be able to hand the farm down to the next generation and leave the land better than it was. I'm trying to find the blend of conserving our ground and remaining at the same level of production or higher than we were before.
Landman says every year brings new challenges, but it doesn't shake his commitment to the land.
Soil is a finite resource, and we got to start treating it like that and respecting it, I think.
Landman's wife, Whitney, is an ag education teacher at Larimore High School. Up next on AgweekTV, the Clear Springs Cattle Company has a clear advantage.
I'm Peter Bosch. I've been working with Gateway Building Systems for a little over 20 years now. I chose Gateway Building Systems to build my shop because I wanted a building that could both be used for my equipment and as a place for my family to hang out and do things. I would advise anybody that's thinking about working with Gateway to go in and talk to the guys there, tell them your plans and your future dreams, and let them design something for you.
Hamilton System Inc. in Drayton, North Dakota is the North American distributor of the Fantini corn and sunflower header. Both the L03 corn head and the G03 sunflower head have a simple, high-efficiency, low-maintenance PTO-driven gearbox, which eliminates slippage and power loss even in the most trying conditions. These heads are built with a solid one-piece frame and tubular steel construction that will withstand the harshest field conditions. Available in models from 4 to 18 rows, they adapt to any combine and come with a 4-year warranty on the transmission units.
Spray Advantage is a full-line, full-service dealer with everything you need for fertilizer and chemical applications, like electronics from Microtrack and Raven, pumps by Banjo and John Blue, a full line of poly parts, tanks, and spray tips. We support the equipment we sell with factory-trained service technicians and a well-stocked parts department. It's our commitment to offer you quality products at competitive prices with the best financing options available. Spray Advantage, proudly serving North Dakota and Minnesota.
There's no easy button, no guarantees, or promises of a good year. This is farming. It's unpredictable and demanding, with long days and sometimes stressful nights. It's weathering the storms and coming out successful. Farming isn't for everyone. We thank those who make it their life, because it is for everyone.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute, up to 3,400 feet away.
Meat processing was badly disrupted during the COVID-19 pandemic. When major plants shut down, many local processors stepped up to fill the void. This month, our AgWeek special report looks at the state of meat processing, including the impact of state and local funding and the impact of policy. Hardo Lakes Meats in Pelican Rapids, Minnesota was among the small processors finding themselves swamped with work as large processors dealt with shutdowns. Owner Jason Stetz says his dedicated staff, timely government funding, and local support have helped them come out stronger than before. In fact, Stetz says although things have returned to a more manageable pace, during the pandemic, he upgraded and expanded the business in several ways, including making it a USDA-inspected facility so they can sell across state lines. And they now have a store in Dilworth.
After the post-COVID, things have come back to reality. Now we can focus on buying local cattle, processing it, selling it between our store here in Pelican and in Dilworth. So that's kind of helped us out.
Stetz says about 20 local stores and restaurants sell or serve their locally processed meat. It takes a lot of water to raise cattle, so if Jeff Beach found in this week's Ag Week cover story, access to fresh spring water gives the Clear Springs Cattle Company a clear advantage.
There's two things that we've learned that cattle often lack, and it's salt and good clean water. And having that spring water really gives us an advantage for providing quality fresh water to our cattle so that they can stay healthier.
Grady Wolf and his family operate the Clear Springs Cattle Company in west central Minnesota. They moved to this property in 2011.
We're in what's called the Glacial Hills, so it's kind of a unique part of Minnesota. Is it's a lot more rolling hills and a little less crop ground.
And they soon discovered all the advantages of the 11 natural springs on the ranch.
And so what we were able to do is harness that spring water and be able to water our cattle with really high quality water, and then also be able to have the majority of our tanks, not all of them, but the majority of our water tanks out on pasture to be gravity fed, continuous flowing tanks, so then they'd stay open all winter long.
Wolf says their cattle needs less minerals thanks to the spring water, and more importantly, he says the spring water helps keep their cattle embryos healthier. Clear Springs Cattle Company markets Simmental and Sim Angus cattle under the name Bred for Balance. They calve out about 320 cows a year and have a bull sale each February. In addition, they grow corn, soybeans, winter wheat, and alfalfa, mostly for forage. They even run a vacation rental on their farm where guests can stay and enjoy steaks and other cuts of beef, fresh off the farm. Near Starbuck, Minnesota, this is Jeff Beach for Ag Week.
You can read much more in the next Ag Week magazine or at agweek.com. Like many Minnesotans heading to their lake homes, a dairy herd in central Minnesota travels each May from their winter home to a summer grazing site. Lanny Salmon and his family and two other partner families move their herd each spring from one dairy operation near Wolf Lake to another 5 miles away. They've made the unusual move every year since 2008 because they don't have adequate pasture and water near their farm. The first year they walked the cows over, but Salmon says it was way too hard on their feet. So now they have about 120 cows and truck them over, a few at a time. He says he may be the only producers in the state who do this, but others might want to try it.
Their fields are already by the farm, but there is going to be some, there's going to be some instances where I think it would work for some people.
At the summer site, the cows have an open-air barn with screens around the building to protect them from flies. Ahead on AgweekTV, we'll meet a South Dakota retiree whose lifelong hobby is feeding the hungry.
North Dakota is a leader in ag commodities like corn and soybeans. When farmers and animal ag work together, we can keep more dollars in North Dakota.
Well, the opportunities for North Dakota on the animal ag side is really to add value to our grains that we're shipping out of this state.
We do purchase crops from our neighbors instead of the crops like soybeans and corn and wheat being shipped out of state. They're able to be used within the state, reducing some of those costs to ship those products and increasing the value to farmers within the state.
From adding value to crops to natural fertilizer, it's clear that there are win-win opportunities for animal ag and the crop industry.
Diversification on our farm is huge to make it profitable for the next generation and generations after that. I partner with Animal Ag. There's not a dollar amount that we put on it.
Let's keep North Dakota crops at home. Support growing North Dakota agriculture. Visit animalagnd.com to learn more.
Get a jump on next season's crop.
Before you put your planter away after the planting season, bring it to the experts at Titan Machinery for a full inspection. Titan Machinery service technicians have the experience and training to inspect your Case IH planter and get it in optimal condition for next season. Get a head start on next season and get the peace of mind that your planter is ready when you store it for the winter. Contact the planter experts at your local Titan Machinery Case IH dealership today.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
The Crary Revolution Ditcher is the new standard for surface water management. The Revolution Ditcher leaves a smooth finish 5-foot flat bottom cut and cuts up to 10 inches in one pass. Throw dirt in either direction, up to 165 feet. Now with the hydraulic cross auger to break up dirt and keep you working faster. Check out the Revolution Ditcher at crary.com.
Ag Week weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
How will the temps fare as we head into June? Here's our AccuWeather outlook.
I'm meteorologist Jared Piepenberg. We're taking a look at the next couple of weeks here with your Ag Week outlook. It's summertime here. June has arrived and looks like we're gonna have more of the same which we've had in place over the last couple of weeks, I would say. We took that big swing from the cold weather that we had earlier in the late spring, and then now things have just changed to more that summertime feel. Some 80s, some 90s, scattered showers and thunderstorms, and I'm seeing more of that on tap for us over the next couple of weeks. Now, generally staying warm here, we'll be talking more 80s and 90s in store for us over the next week and a half, 2 weeks potentially here, and we'll be looking at some pop-up to scattered showers and thunderstorm chances along the way, which we've seen in place. Let's talk about the drought monitor here across the lower 48. Central parts of the plains are in the extreme to exceptional drought still. As we look towards South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, there's some dry conditions, which is going to be indicated by the yellow shaded area, northwestern parts of Minnesota down across the southwest. As we hop into South Dakota, there is some moderate drought across the area as well. And then the western parts of North Dakota seeing that dry to moderate category as well. Now we're going to jump way up in that upper atmosphere to just show you there's not a whole lot happening with our upper atmosphere over the next week and a half, I would say. What we'll be looking for is any large scale dips, which we're kind of seeing off across the Gulf of Alaska there, where the central parts of the plains, we just have this large upper level ridge, and that's going to hold in place almost all week long here and into parts of next week as well. So what we're looking for is those darker shades, which we see across northern parts of Canada. If one of those was going to dip down our area, that would produce some very different weather for us, meaning that some winds, some showers, thunderstorms, and just a large scale system, which we're really not seeing. So in the meantime, we're generally going to stay warm, if not hot for us, with just some pop-up afternoon scattered showers and thunderstorms along the way. Precipitation outlook for the next 6 to 10 days, staying a little drier across parts of the Midwest, including the Great Lakes, across the desert Southwest and parts of California, even off close to the Pacific Northwest, looking to stay fairly wet. In the Dakotas, Minnesota, we're kind of right on that edge of the drier conditions off toward the east and the potential for a wetter outlook off toward the south and west. So it does include the western parts of the Dakotas, which I think we'll just see some pop-up showers and thunderstorms in the afternoons, maybe every other day or so. That will be kind of the case coming up here, or the possibility. Temperature-wise, 6 to 10 days out, we're looking fairly warm. I mentioned that here, that the next couple of weeks, looking warm. 80s and 90s along the way for Minnesota, parts of the Dakotas here, so above average, looking a little cooler across the desert Southwest. Now as we head into that 8 to 14 day outlook for temperature-wise, this looks very, very similar. We'll likely see that as we head into that part of June. So we'll be looking at the Pacific Northwest and parts of the northern plains and the upper Midwest staying with that potential of a little above average temperatures. And as we take a look at precipitation along the way, still staying a little bit drier across parts of the Great Lakes with the wet weather off toward our west.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
Spray Advantage is a full-line, full-service dealer with everything you need for fertilizer and chemical applications, like electronics from Microtrack and Raven, pumps by Banjo and John Blue, a full line of poly parts, tanks, and spray tips. We support the equipment we sell with factory-trained service technicians and a well-stocked parts department. It's our commitment to offer you quality products at competitive prices with the best financing options available. Spray Advantage, proudly serving North Dakota and Minnesota.
The team at North Star Ag is committed to quality and committed to you. We're not just a full-service dealer, we're farmers too, so we know you need the best machinery and services that'll keep you going all season long. We have the largest equipment inventory in the upper Midwest with a well-equipped parts and service department. So whether you need machinery tomorrow or parts today, stop in and experience what North Star Ag can offer on our website at northstar-ag.com or give us a call at 701-361-4790.
You can get the field results you want in varying conditions with the flexibility of the Summers VRT Renegade. Featuring on-the-fly blade angle adjustment from 0 to 19 degrees. And if you want the simplicity of a Super Coulter with the ability to move a little dirt, you'll love the all-new Summers Super Coulter Samurai. Go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about North America's broadest line of tillage equipment and other products from North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing.
How'd they find me out here? Huh. Current resident. They don't even know who I am. Fifth downtown location. Why would I care?
Find a bank that cares about what you really need.
Ah.
Cornerstone Bank.
One vegetable producer in Brookings, South Dakota has a lifelong passion for gardening, something he's continued to do well throughout retirement and has used to donate thousands of pounds of food to the local Feeding Brookings Food Pantry.
I've been gardening to my recollection since I was 5 years old. That was 80 years ago.
Carl Madsen may be 85 years old, but that hasn't stopped him from planting his 10-acre produce garden, all to keep people in need well fed.
They seem to like the fresh produce. They don't have refrigeration to help along with it, but so that we pick it and bring it in fresh. So everybody wins on that one. So.
Every year, Madsen donates a couple tons of potatoes, at least 1 ton of squash, along with a variety of other vegetables.
They take whatever I want. They don't complain if I say, oh, no, we don't want tomatoes. We want it. But they don't do that. If I bring tomatoes, that's what they got. If I bring potatoes, that's what they got. And so they make it easy for me, and it goes to people in need.
But it's not something he could do alone.
I got my neighbor girls there that people help me from for example, the farmhouse fraternity guys come out and plant things for me. And I work with Norm's greenhouse and nursery out of Aurora. And they do some greenhouse work for me.
I like the fresh air and getting my hands dirty, and I just like helping Carl.
Bringing a community together to get their hands dirty for a good cause.
Because you don't really want people to starve, and you want people to have food.
I talk to people and they say, oh, I'd like to do that. I say, well, come on out.
Madsen says his biggest concern right now is the drier conditions. There is no rain in the forecast and he does not have irrigation, so they could see some plant stress in the coming weeks. Up next on AgweekTV, it's spring and that means it's time for goat yoga on this Minnesota farm.
Hamilton System Inc. in Drayton, North Dakota is the North American distributor of the Fantini corn and sunflower header. Both the L03 corn head and the G03 sunflower head have a simple, high-efficiency, low-maintenance PTO-driven gearbox, which eliminates slippage and power loss even in the most trying conditions. These heads are built with a solid one-piece frame and tubular steel construction that will withstand the harshest field conditions. Available in models from 4 to 18 rows, they adapt to any combine and come with a 4-year warranty on the transmission units.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
Since the inception of Vaterstadt, the spirit of innovation has led the company. We push the limits, providing innovative and reliable seeding and tillage solutions that simplify everyday life for farmers. We continue to reimagine the capabilities and technology behind farm machinery, providing customers with a perfect emergence while maximizing their yields. We look forward to growing together.
Risk management is not just for the grains. Livestock producers, did you know you too can protect the price for your production? Livestock Risk Protection, or LRP for short, is a great tool to help you protect the price of your calves. Cattle producers can also protect their pasture and hayland from lack of rainfall with Pasture Rangeland Forage, or PRF insurance. This is a very affordable way to help producers in times of below average rainfall. Call the risk management specialist, Martinson Ag Risk Management.
Get a jump on next season's crop. Before you put your planter away after the planting season, bring it to the experts at Titan Machinery for a full inspection. Titan Machinery service technicians have the experience and training to inspect your Case IH planter and get it in optimal condition for next season. Get a head start on next season and get the peace of mind that your planter is ready when you store it for the winter. Contact the planter experts at your local Titan Machinery Case IH dealership today.
It's spring, so the baby goats have arrived at Shanna McCann's farm, and that means goat yoga is back too. McCann hosts goat yoga classes in her barn at Byron, Minnesota farm. She says it's a beautiful time of year to drive out to her 20-acre farm before she gets really busy with summer events. But mostly, she says it's the perfect time of year to snuggle goats. She says not only is it great for people attending, but it helps the goats socialize too.
In the springtime is typically when the baby goats arrive. Great stuff. They've got all this fun energy. They're super adorable to hold and snuggle. People come here with a smile, leave with a bigger smile. It's just really neat to interact with the baby goats when they're that small.
McCann holds several other events with her goats, including Tai Chi. She can accommodate groups over 10. You can contact her to schedule a visit. You may even get to milk a goat, and she uses the milk to make her soap that she sells under the name Simple Soaps for Simple Folks. Stories you'll only see on AgweekTV.com and in Agweek magazine this week. The cost and need for childcare were heavy on many farm families in Minnesota. And SDSU Extension recently received a $1 million contribution agreement from the NRCS to help control the spread of woody plants across the state. We appreciate you watching Agweek TV. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up on all your ag news. Have a wonderful week, everyone.